To understand Europe between 1450 and 1750, we must begin with the Renaissance, a cultural movement that began in Italy and spread across Europe. This era emphasized humanism, classical learning, and realism in art. Famous works like Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci and The Last Supper reflect this shift towards absorbing the human world rather than focusing on only religion. The Renaissance laid intellectual foundation for questioning traditional authority. This is the Renaissance, which means rebirth. It was a time when Europe rediscovered classical ideas from Greece and Rome and began focusing on humanism, creativity, and learning. Two of the most famous works from this period are the Mona Lisa and The Last Supper, created by Leonardo da Vinci. These works show realism, emotion, and perspective, things that hadn't been done like this before. The Renaissance mattered because it changed how people viewed themselves, not just as servants of God, but as thinkers, artists, and innovators. In 1517, a monk named Martin Luther challenged the Catholic Church. He nailed his 95 Theses to a church door, criticizing corruption and the selling of indulgences. This moment began Reformation, a movement that questioned church authority and led to new Christian denominations. Luther's ideas created Lutheranism. Later, John Calvin helped spread Protestant ideas even further. The Reformation existed because people wanted religious truth, fairness, and direct access to the Bible. During the 100 Years' War between England and France, one figure stood out. Dennis, bro, that's not the cue. One figure stood out unlike any other. Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc was a teenage peasant girl from France who believed she was called by God to help save her country. At a time when women had almost no political or military power, Joan led French troops and helped turn the war into France's favor. Her leadership inspired soldiers and helped restore hope during a time when France was close to defeat. However, Joan was later captured by enemies, put on trial, and accused of crimes related to her beliefs and actions. In 1431, Joan of Arc was executed by being burned at the stake. She was only 19 years old. Years later, the church admitted her trial was unfair, and Joan of Arc became a symbol of courage, faith, and national identity. Today, she is remembered not just as a warrior, but as a powerful reminder that individuals, even young people, can change history. It caused one of the biggest changes in Western Europe, the split of Christianity. On one side were Catholics, who remained loyal to the Pope and the traditional teachings of the Church. On the other side were Protestants, who protested the authority of the Catholic Church and believed faith and Scripture are more important than church traditions. This split didn't just change religion, it reshaped politics, culture, and everyday life across Europe. England took a different route. When Henry VIII wanted more control over religion and power, he broke away from the Catholic Church. This led to the creation of Anglican Church, also known as Anglicanism. The Angelic Church was unique because it kept many Catholic traditions but placed the English monarch as the head of the church. Religion in England was no longer controlled by the Pope, it was controlled by the Crown. Some people believe the Anglican Church still looked too Catholic. These people were called Puritans. Puritans wanted to purify the Church of all England by removing fancy rituals and decorations. Their beliefs caused tension in England and played a role in the English Civil War as they challenged royal authority. The Catholic Church did not stay silent. During the Counter-Reformation, a group called the Jesuits was formed. Jesuits focused on education, missionary work, and strengthening Catholic beliefs. They helped slow the spread of Protestantism and brought renewed energy to the Catholic Church. The split between Catholics, Protestants, Anglicans, Puritans, and Jesuits shows how religion shaped identity, power, and conflict in Western Europe. These differences changed nations and still influence the world today. Earlier, the 100 Years' War between England and France showed the rise of nationalism. A young hero, Joan of Arc, inspired France and became a symbol of unity. The 30 Years' War began as a religious conflict between Catholics and Protestants, involving leaders like Charles V and Philip II. It eventually became a political struggle across Europe. The war ended with the Treaty of Westphalia, which changed Europe by recognizing national sovereignty. First is Charles V, one of the most powerful rulers in European history. Charles V ruled a vast empire that included Spain, the Holy Roman Empire, and territories across Europe and the Americas. But ruling so much land came with a problem: religious division. During his reign, the Reformation spread rapidly, and Charles V struggled to keep Catholic unity as Protestant ideas gained influence. His reign shows how religion and politics became impossible to separate in Western Europe. Philip II, the son of Charles V, inherited Spain and became a strong defender of Catholicism. Philip II supported the Counter-Reformation and worked closely with groups like Jesuits. However, his strict control led to rebellion, especially in the Netherlands, where Protestants was growing. Philip II's rule shows how enforcing religious unity often created conflict instead of peace. Charles V and Philip II. Charles I ruled England. He believed in the divine right of kings, meaning he thought his power came directly from God. But Parliament disagreed. Religious tensions between Anglicans, Puritans, and Catholics, combined with political conflict, led to the English Civil War. Charles I's struggles ended with the rise of constitutionalism, where the ruler's power was limited by law. As the Reformation spread across Europe, new ideas continued to develop. One of the most influential came from a thinker named John Calvin. Calvinism was a branch of Protestantism that emphasized discipline, moral living, and the absolute power of God. Calvin believed that God was in control of everything, and that people should live hard-working, faithful lives to honor him. Because of this belief, Calvinism communities focus on education, responsibility, and strong community rules. Calvinism spread quickly through parts of France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, and Scotland, influencing politics as well as religion. After years of war, religious conflict, and struggle, one man stepped in: John Locke. John Locke was an English philosopher who believed that people are born with natural rights, including life, liberty, and property. Locke argued that governments exist to protect these rights, not to control people. If a government failed to do its job, Locke believed that people had the right to change it. These ideas helped shape constitutionalism, the belief that the government power should be limited by laws. Unlike kings such as Charles I, who believed in divine right, Locke believed power came from the consent of the governed. This was a revolutionary idea at the time. Me and Ness are gonna beat the Ender Dragon. Let's go. You can watch if you want, but this part's optional. Thank you for watching till the end. We put a lot of time and effort into this, so I hope you like it.